Welcome, everyone. Episode 68 of the Mindful Marketer Livestream. And I am so excited to wish you all a happy 2023, especially since I'm finally coming out of the fog known as my first flu virus in almost 5 years. Let's make sure that all of you tell us where you're from in the chat. We will also be sharing this across all of your favorite podcast platforms. So in the spirit of Donna, if you like podcasts and you are listening to the Mindful Marketer podcast instead, then make sure you leave us a review on your favorite platform. We welcome your feedback and your recommendations for future show topics and guests. Nominate your favorite people. The purpose of the Mindful Marketer Livestream and podcast is very simple. It is to help mindful leaders cultivate healthier companies. So with that in mind, speaking of healthy, I couldn't be a healthy live streamer or podcaster without a dream team. We're coming up on 3 years with this show. I am so proud to say my team consists of Bill and Alex Connolly, my podcast peeps, and Marissa Callie and Toya Glenn, my producers behind the scenes. So thank you all for bringing me here and helping me look my best. So with that in mind, let me give you a little background today before we start also of some of the things that have been informing the upcoming seasons of the Mindful Marketer. We concluded our CMO's Leading Innovation Conference late last year in Charleston, South Carolina. We brought together dozens of top leaders in marketing, as well as CEOs and board chair people. And we want to share with you, as we get insights and lessons, we want to share with you some clips from some of the members of our cohort. So for 1 minute, you're about to hear from Katie Holler, the head of marketing at Clutch.co.
Lisa has been really wonderful. I've been connected with her these last 5 months since I started at Clutch. And I think what I've really appreciated about Click and being introduced to this group is just the diverse range of really intelligent, really smart, capable marketers who are able to share their experiences. Especially we were just saying at lunch, as you get more senior in your career, you have fewer peers you can really turn to who are living the same challenges and experiences. And so having a community like this where you can really talk with counterparts who are going through similar challenges and how they're addressing those is so valuable. And Lisa has just been wonderful in really fostering those relevant connections throughout the process.
So thank you, Katie. And I want to welcome the numerous people we have with us already. We have AJ from Hyderabad. We have Mina from Canada, Lisa from San Francisco, Michael from Toronto, Canada, Northern Florida. Wouldn't mind being there right now. Michael, hello. Jirgita from UK. Sandra, great to see you. Oh my goodness, we have quite the crowd. So we've hit a nerve today. In fact, let's talk about the new rules of content and thought leadership. Why does it matter to you? It should matter to you if it doesn't. Chat GPT and AI, much tougher privacy rules, and of course, social media fatigue. These can damage and turn your well-intended marketing and content strategies upside down. So now also, there's another reason you need to care about it. If you track the tech layoffs on layoffs.fyi, then you already know that the number of tech layoffs grew 10x between 2021 and 2022, which means, my friends, that there are a lot fewer job opportunities than there were in the middle of the pandemic. You need to stand out in your field. You need to embrace your inner thought leader in order to stand out from the other people applying for similar roles? And so today we're going to help you unpack those questions and opportunities. So let me welcome the wonderful Ginger Conlon to the stage, and let's get going. Ginger, welcome. I'm so happy to see you.
Same here, Lisa. Thanks for having me on the show.
And Happy New Year to you. What was the highlight of your week in New York this week?
The highlight? Well, I'm excited about Genesys has a series of G Summits coming up, and I am going to MC and co-host our analyst Q&A session. So very excited about that, sharing trends in customer experience in 4 different cities around the U.S. coming up.
That sounds like fun. So we're getting back to in-person gatherings again with a bang, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, as we talk today, we'll be taking questions from our audience, and I look forward to that. I think we should always begin with some common definitions, especially since we have people from all over the world joining us today. So, Ginger, help me unpack this. How do you distinguish between content strategy and thought leadership?
Okay. So we're going to have a little fun with this because as I was talking to Lisa in the green room before we all came on together, how she was so excited to talk about Chat GPT today. So I went and asked it some questions, and I asked, what is the difference between content marketing and thought leadership? And it gave a great one that I'm all on board with. So it says content marketing is creating and distributing valuable, relevant, keyword there, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. You're not talking to everybody, with the goal of driving a profitable customer action. Love it. Thought leadership, the short version, positioning a company or an individual as an authority in a specific subject or industry. So spot on for me, because really, if you think about thought leadership, it's kind of a subset of content marketing. It should be very much top of funnel. It should be absolutely not sales pitchy ever. It really is about that expertise and getting it out there. And for Genesys in particular, we look at thought leadership even in an even more focused way, where the thought leadership team, which is me and my boss, Claire Beatty, who is the senior director of the team and just amazing, we focus on the big chunky research reports that look at the trends happening in the industry and customer experience. We do in-depth research, often with partners like MIT Technology Review and The Economist, and those support the positioning that Genesys has, and also aligns with that positioning, but very much top of funnel, very much educating our constituents out in the market of what they need to know.
Yes, you hit the spot on. It's education. I prefer, and I am going to put a stake in the ground here and say I wish we started using the word thought provoker versus thought leader. Because if you're not provoking, you're not inspiring and educating. And, so I think as we enter the month of January, which, the Roman god Janus is how we came up with the name January for our month, is to be able to look at both sides of a problem that you and you're trying to solve for your customers, but also to turn to the past to be informed by the future. So I invite people to be thought provokers. And another thing I would layer on top of that, Ginger, is I would say I look at thought leadership as the long game. It's if you think, we're going to build top of the funnel strategy in 3 months by doing a white paper, I am sorry to disappoint you. The answer is no. If you are a thought leader in your field, you need to be willing to put in 2 to 4 years of consistency to see results. If you're, and that goes against the grain in Western culture that we want instant results. How do you and Claire temper that pressure as you're a publicly traded company, you've got a lot of big competitors, but with 6,000 plus employees, how do you manage that tension of we need instant results?
There's a lot of content marketing happening in Genesys. So our content team is doing that fast reaction. We have blogs that there's something happening in the market, so we are covering that in blogs, and we have all kinds of instructional guides and topic related ebooks and things like that. So we focus on that. We on the thought leadership side move as fast as we can, but we take our time because we want to get really great results. We want to make sure that surveys are in market for long enough time to get the quality and quantity of people that we want answering the questions. Do a lot of in-depth review of an analysis. So, but it's worth it. We have some. If I do say so myself, we have some amazing content we've put out there.
That's wonderful. That's good to hear. And so I think we just want to put a pin in that for everyone watching today, that think of thought leadership as the long game. Think of content strategy as something you can do on a regular basis in order to inform and inspire the ideal audience that you're going after. We need to talk about some of the tectonic shifts that are happening, not just ChatGPT. I want to throw a few of mine out there and also remind people we're taking your questions. So let me share mine, and I want to hear what yours are, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Is the first one, of course, the first shift is AI. And I see that as really starting to create a bigger schism between the thought provokers or the thought leaders and the information aggregators. So in my mind, what I'm seeing happening in the coming year is that people don't need information aggregators much anymore, who are just going to grab an article from the Wall Street Journal and paste it up on their LinkedIn post. Yes, it's good to know, but it's not going to separate you from the pack, because people can go get a lot of basic information and definitions from ChatGPT. So that's the first one. The second that I see is just the privacy challenge. The walls seem to be getting taller and harder to permeate. Was it Google that announced that their rules are going to be the third-party cookies will be phased out by the end of 24? And the third is the shift in investments from some of the traditional Google Meta platforms to the nefarious platform known as TikTok. I know I'm going to poke and provoke people right now, but I do align with what Scott Galloway says, which his recent quote was, TikTok is the ultimate propaganda tool. 2/3 of all millennials would turn off all their cable television and their media channels in favor of TikTok, while ByteDance grows valuation estimated at $1 trillion. What say you on those three trends, Ginger?
Well, I have to agree. I'm pretty much aligned, I think, on these trends. So, first of all, platform-wise, there was so much buzz about the metaverse, and I feel like that's died down, and the companies that are interested in it are figuring it out. So, it's still out there, it's still happening, it's just not the shiny object. TikTok, the interesting thing about TikTok, there is a hack. TikTok made me buy it, because TikTok research shows that 37% of users discover a product and immediately want to buy it. And in some cases, that has led to products being sold out really quickly. And 44% have discovered products from videos posted by a brand. So, and the thing is, it's not just millennials. I mean, it's all age groups who are in there, there's an increasing number of people in their 40s, 50s, and up on there. And they're not just dancing and being funny and whatever. They're actually talking about fitness and trends and issues. And, it's worth taking a look. I was just looking at Washington Post has 1.4 million followers on TikTok, and HubSpot cited it as of standout content marketing in 2022, which I'll get to later, is what they're doing on TikTok in terms of content marketing. So it shows that it might not be right for you, but it could be worth looking into if you think that your audience might be there, because it's definitely evolving from what it was. Personalization. So it's interesting that you talked about privacy, because I see more personalization happening. Consumers, according to they want to feel like they've been listened to and understood. And so personalization is fantastic. On the other side, I just want to warn to not over personalize, because there's huge value in discovery, right? So hypothetically, I'm not a bowler. I do enjoy bowling once in a while, but say I'm a bowler and the sporting goods store sends me every piece of content they have about bowling, but I can only buy so much bowling stuff from the sporting goods store. But maybe they can throw some stories in there or videos or whatever about pickleball, and that might be intriguing. And maybe I'll go buy some pickleball things from there. So don't lock me in a circle of the thing that you think that I want to know about, because people grow and change, and they want to know about new things too. So that's my advice on that. And then as you said, AI. So the big hype right now, as you've mentioned, is Chat GPT. It feels like everyone in marketing, education, and technology are talking about it. And if you haven't tried it out, go check it out while it's free. Simply put, it's an AI bot that can help with everything from writing an essay to writing a Twitter thread, answering questions, providing advice on computer programming. On the other side, it can't do everything. Like, it can't fact check for you. So if you ask it to write an essay on Lincoln's presidency, you have to go take that essay, consider it your first rough draft, and then go and do all your proper research and recast it from there and put it in your voice, because Chat GPT is very authoritative, but it's always right. And even OpenAI says that. It will tell you if it doesn't know something. I actually asked it a question about TikTok, and it said, well, I don't have access to TikTok data, so I can't answer that question. But so if you ask it the same question twice, you may actually get two different answers depending on what the question is. For example, I asked if I was going to interview Lisa about marketing, what question should I ask her? And it gave me 10 actually pretty good questions, but they were a little generic. So I said, Lisa has written a book called Energized Growth. What question should I ask her about marketing? And I got way more detailed questions, and also a great list of 10 questions. So there's a lot that it can do, but the caution there is it's a tool. Don't let it take over what you're doing. Just see how it can help you.
That sounds great. I appreciate your comments about TikTok, and of course your extensive research that you did before the show to bring all of these statistics to the foreground. And we also were going to put a link to this Wall Street Journal article that was posted on Wednesday in all the show notes. So if you are not getting our show notes and updates, make sure you go to themindfulmarketer.com. We have also David Allison is in the house with us today and says that speakers are using TikTok quite extensively for their marketing efforts. I will go down in history here as saying, everybody, you do you. I'm staying away from it because I believe it is a national security threat. So, but you do you. That's where we're at. I also found out that Greg Kihlstrom is joining us from Northern Virginia, to ask us a question. Greg, welcome.
Hi there. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Ginger. Yeah, thanks so much for bringing me up here. So yeah, just love this conversation, and Lisa, always love listening to your conversations here. But yeah, just along the lines of what you were just talking about, when I think about AI and marketing and how AI works to support marketing, I like to think of it as augmenting what humans can do versus replacing. And I think that's kind of what you were just saying as well. But I guess, a question for you would be, how can marketers think in that way where it's not Chat GPT and, these other tools are not going to replace the smart marketers that are doing the work? They may replace some of their work. 30% of people's roles are going to be replaced by AI. So, according to some sources, but how should marketing leaders think about this idea of working alongside or augmentation? And I guess before that, even, do you agree with that premise?
Over to you, Ginger.
Let me unmute so I can answer that question. I swear we've been doing this for how many years, and you still
only 3 years.
So, hopefully, Greg, people look to the past to take that advice of don't rush and completely change. Look at how it's a tool. AI, like everything else, is a tool. How does it best work for you? How can it support you? People have emotion and have a way to put things together that AI can't necessarily be trained to do. There's just a difference between how people think and the ways that we think that make sense and don't make sense. It's the humanity of us that's like, oh, what's this crazy thing? There's things that AI can't bring to us, but we can use it to help ideate and brainstorm and get us started. Maybe you can, one thing I wanted to mention before, I'm glad you asked this question, is if you're using Chat GPT or something that comes out like it later, you have to be careful what questions you ask. Anytime you use data, it's the same thing. What the answer you're going to get depends on the question that you ask. So if you're asking the wrong question, you might not get the information that you think you are looking for. So that's a very important point in how you use that. And it, it should be a tool. How can you use it best? And go from there.
Right.
And Greg, I would add a cherry on top by saying it is a tool. It has many instances of delivering the wrong answers, especially if quantitative data is involved. So as a journalist, as an author, I am going to do my fact checking. And the applications where I am seeing it very successful is when you're getting ready for a podcast or a show and you want to generate some new, fresh questions, or if you're looking for some cool titles for your next blog post or subtitles, it's quite good at getting things kick-started. But again, I go back to what I said earlier in the show. There are differences between information aggregators and thought leaders. Today, we're here to help people be thought leaders, not, what tools should I use to be a data aggregator? So were those answers helpful, Greg?
Yeah. No, love it. Yeah. And totally agree.
Great. And congratulations on your newest book, Greg. What's your I can't keep up with you. What's the title of your newest book?
Don't even try. Yeah, I've got a new book. It's coming out next Wednesday. It's called House of the Customer. So yeah, it's all about personalized customer experience and really how marketers can create those experiences and do it well.
Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you.
And happy New Year, happy book launch. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Wow, we've gotten some good questions. We also have a couple of comments in here from Bill in Portland, Oregon, and lots of comments from David. So I invite people to check those out later in post show. Ginger, talk to us about a new initiative around thought leadership that you're embarking upon this year that you're excited about.
Let's see. That is a good question. Well, we are in the throes of our state of customer experience report that is, we did it in 2017, 2021, and now again at the end of last year. So we're putting that data together right now. And even just some of the initial data points, we asked actually, we also did a report in 2021 called the Connected Customer Experience. And in that report, 70% of consumers said that a company is as good as its customer service. So we asked that question again in the state of customer experience. And now that is up to about 86%. 86% of consumers say a company is only as good as its customer service. So it just shows how important those interactions are. Like I said earlier, consumers want to feel heard and understood. And I just want to kind of roll that answer into answering David's question. He asked, if you've got less data, where does that leave data hungry marketers, and what's next? And we're talking about content marketing today, and that is part of what's next, right? Because when you create engaging content that really pulls in your constituents, your customers, your prospects, it makes that connection, and hopefully they will their information because they want more. They want to learn more from you. So now you've got first party data on these different people because you're providing content that they're interested in. You're helping them move through the funnel. You're helping them learn about more things that you're expert in. And so that is one great way to get that first party data that's becoming more and more and more important.
You bring up such a good point. I think I've said this 17 times in the prior shows, which, by the way, you can all get by signing up at themindfulmarketer.com. They're all free. I want to remind people, we need first-party data. This is the time. Give people a reason that they would like to receive good information and content from you. Ginger, what are you planning to measure this year? What kind of metrics do you plan on measuring to validate the efficacy of what you're delivering?
I love that question. We're talking about data, and that's the other kind of data that you want to know, right? So we measure the usual things that wouldn't surprise you, right? So we measure different types of engagement, time on page, number of downloads, that kind of thing. We measure, especially the content marketing, the ebooks and the other types of guides. That gets measured of how that moves people through their customer journey. Are they coming back? Are we seeing them again? Are they consuming more content? Do they then want to have a conversation with a salesperson? So that's very important, because the fact is that in B2B, marketing is in service to sales, right? You're there trying to generate revenue as well. So as much as we can help. But the other thing is, we are hugely collaborative at Genesys when it comes to content marketing, especially in thought leadership. When we're going to create a report, we talk to all the key stakeholders to get their input, their ideas, what they're seeing in the market. The marketing team, sales leaders, regional leaders, all over the place. And we take that information And now we're creating some buy-in as well, by the way, because people are excited about they've participated. And so then hopefully they're more likely to actually use what you've produced because they gave you some input in the outset. So one of the other things that we measure is where we can is use. And so we have a tool that sales folks can access so they can easily download anything that we create. They can easily share it. So we, for example, track like who's using it, who's accessing our reports in that tool. So so we measure internal, but external, but we also measure internal because they're our partners, and we want to make sure that they're getting the most out of what we produce because it's for them as much as it's for the market.
Yes, there's also more data coming out to support what you just said, that we're seeing a convergence of employee experience as a driver to customer experience and loyalty. And we might see in the coming year, I'm going to make a proclamation here that there will be a convergence of those functions such that the measurement of employee engagement and commitment and retention of your best people will be just as equally measured as customer retention and loyalty and time spent on the page, number of downloads. We're going to see more of those together because of some of the great research that Salesforce did with 2 or 3 different universities to get some peer-reviewed perspectives on that. So again, we'll put all of this in the show notes. We are coming up on the end of our time together, Ginger. It always goes too quickly. Tell us one thing that you're most excited about because you yourself are a thought leader. What's one thing you're excited about trying this year that you've never done before?
I do a lot of interviews at conferences. And so, I've done a couple of I've done one live from podcasts, and I really I'm looking forward to doing more of that this year. Bringing the event to our audience if they can't make it, and providing that insight in the moment in a different way.
When you say a different way, what is one different way you're thinking about?
Well, that just just in terms of doing the podcast, and turning it around, quickly, because just having it more in the moment than kind of the 2-week cadence, and having that more real time element is something that I'm looking forward to. And also, I love working with our social team, and one of the things that I would like to do, it's their choice ultimately. But one of the things I'd like to do is some person on the street stand-up interviews, just like one-hit questions that they can pop onto social. And again, just kind of get the feel of the market in there in the moment when it's happening at the conference, and have some fun with that. So
that's right. Sounds like YouTube Shorts to me. That's so cool. Yeah. I love it. I'm going to do the same thing in the next 10 days. I'm looking for leaders who have done something really clever and new with their content strategy. And we're going to do a short live stream very soon, probably next Friday. So if all of you out there are listening to this and watching it, if you have tried something in the last few months that you want to share, your successes or your lessons learned, or you're trying something new and innovative based on some of the changes we've discussed today, send me an email to lisa@lisanorell.com, and you too might become a famous LinkedIn Live star. But in all seriousness, Ginger, you have a very important job to do. And I am so thrilled that we get to collaborate, and we look forward to having you back again this year, maybe at the end of the year, to share some of your lessons learned. So thanks so much for being with us today from Genesys.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks again. It was always great talking to you, Lisa, about what's going on in the world, in the market.
Great. Happy New Year.
You too.
And now it's time for our mindful moments, and we'll be wrapping up the show. My goodness, I learned so much today. I want to share the first takeaway, which is we're all going to be debating TikTok for a while. And I would watch what's going on at the federal government level here in the United States and whether ByteDance has the cojones to do something about extricating themselves completely from TikTok North America or TikTok US. I think the jury is out. I'm staying out of it. Number two, watch how you use ChatGPT. It has a lot of strengths, but it does not replace thought leadership. It is good for some data gathering, grabbing some fresh new titles for your next blog post, asking fun questions like Ginger did so adroitly, but it's not going to replace thought leaders. And number two, this is the year for experimentation. Take some things that you learned today. Look in the chat at some of the great comments here from David Allison or Craig Zingerlein or some of our other guests, and see if there are some new content strategy ideas that you could test inexpensively. And watch out for our next show. We're going to have some examples for you. So before we wrap up, I want to remind you we'll be back here for the Mindful Marketer live stream with our guest February 3rd, the one and only David Allison, launching his new book, The Death of Demographics. He has done extensive research on what human values matter and how we as mindful marketing leaders need to incorporate those data into our strategies, our messaging, and our thought leadership and content. David does not disappoint. He's a return guest. So make sure you're with us February 3rd. You know where to find me. Sign up now to get reminded and make this the best weekend of the year, because it's already early January and it's going to be a great year with you in it. Take good care, everybody.